Hello, second grade. Welcome to Unit 1, Week 3 of Language Arts. I'm going to go over your vocabulary with you. Your first vocabulary word for this week is the word decide. When you decide to do something, you are choosing to do it. So you can decide to wear purple socks. You can decide to put on a colorful hat. You can decide which jacket or sweater you want to wear to school that day. So when you make a decision or you decide, you're choosing something. Your next word is the word trade. When you trade with someone, you give them something and they give you something back, like a switch. So if I traded my peanut butter sandwich for a cheese sandwich with my sister, I gave her the peanut butter sandwich and she gave me back a cheese sandwich. So we traded. Your next word is the word stares. When you stare at something, you're looking at something for a really long time. You're really focused on it. Your eyes are probably really wide, and you're looking at that thing for more than just a quick second. So if you see, if you're at the zoo and you see one of the animals jumping around and doing tricks, you might be staring at it because you're amazed and it's got your attention. Now, the opposite, or not complete opposite, but somewhat opposite of stares is glance. When you glance at something, you just look at it real quick and then you end up looking away. So when you glance at something, it just gets a quick look. It only has your attention for a second, and then you're looking somewhere else. Now, your next word is the word proper. Now, proper means that you're doing something in the correct way. So you're either acting properly, which means you're acting in the right way, or you're doing your writing properly, which means you're doing your writing in the right way. Proper or correct, both of those words mean about the same thing. Now, your next word is the word that's different. So this is a word that a lot of you are already familiar with, but when something is different, it means those things are not the same. So an apple is different than an orange. We can talk about different colors. We can talk about different shapes. A circle is different than a square, and so on. So different means things that are not the same. Your next word is the word friendship. Friendship means being pals or friends with somebody, helping them, spending time and having fun with them. So your friendship with someone is everything that you guys are doing together as friends, everything that makes you guys friends. When you have a relationship, you have a connection with someone. So a friendship is a type of relationship. You also have a relationship with your parents. You have a connection with them as their child. You have a relationship with your brothers or sisters, if you have any, because they're also your siblings. So a relationship is some kind of connection that you have with somebody. Now, your spelling words for this week are going to be these 15 words. You have the word grass, trips, crack, still, west, mask, clap, plans, milk, belt, fog, tub, by, he, and she. So remember, you're going to write these 3 times each on a piece of paper. You're going to remember to skip a line in between, have your full name, so your first and last name and date, up in the top right-hand corner. And the title for this page will be Spelling 3 times each, 1.3, so Unit 1, Week 3. Now let's get into your grammar notes for this week. So your grammar pages are already uploaded and they're going to be due by Thursday. So you can watch this portion later, or you can watch it now and get a head start. But after this, we're going to do your weekly stories. So your grammar for this week focuses on subjects and verbs, so parts of a sentence. So a subject tells us who or what the sentence is talking about, and that's usually found at the beginning of the sentence. So I can say Hamza likes to read chapter books. The subject, or what I'm talking about, is Hamza. Or I can say Faiza draws beautiful pictures. The person that I'm talking about here is Faiza, so she is my subject. Now, if a group of words does not have a subject, it's not a sentence. Every single sentence needs to have a subject and what we call a predicate. So the subject is who or what the sentence is about, and the predicate tells us what the subject is doing or what the subject is, it describes it. So if I say Hamza likes to read chapter books, Hamza is my subject, and likes to read chapter books is my predicate. The subject and verb in a sentence must agree. That means they must match. So when your subject is singular, or your subject is just one person or one place or one thing, that means the verb that you're using to come after it must also be singular, must be one. Now, singular verbs, what you want to remember is singular verbs end with an S. So I can say the bird sings. So bird, we're talking about one bird, and it sings. Now that I put an S on the end of that verb, that action word that tells us what the bird is doing, we know that that is a singular verb. I can say the apple falls, the boy plays, the girl draws. All of these are singular because we put an S on the end of them. Faiza draws beautiful pictures. Hamza likes to read chapter books. So all of these have a single subject, so the verb that comes after it must also be singular. Now, when your subject is plural, you're talking about more than one thing, you're going to have a plural verb. Now, we said singular verbs have an S at the end of them. Plural verbs do not have an S at the end. So I can say the boys run. So boys is more than one, and run is my plural verb. The boys run in the playground. The girls play on the swings. The children read silly stories. The teachers write on the papers. So all of these are singular verbs because they do not end with an S. Now I do have a video that I did attach in your assignment. It's also attached here in the notes, which you can go ahead and open and watch on your own. I'm going to continue with the last bit of your grammar notes for this week, but I do want you guys to all go in and watch this video because it will explain this subject-verb agreement a bit more. So in case it's still a little bit fuzzy for you, this should help clear it up. Now, the other thing we're going to talk about in grammar this week is about letter writing, and specifically the parts of the letter that are called the greeting and the closing. So the greeting in your letter is what you say at the beginning of a letter. When you say, "Dear Hamza," that's your greeting, right? That's you saying hello. That's how you're starting your letter. And your closing is how you end your letter. So you can say, "Sincerely, Ms. Zaina," or "Your friend, Sada," or "Love, Mom." Those are going to be a closing. Now, your greetings and your closings both start with a capital letter. The first word in a greeting and closing start with a capital letter. If you also happen to have a proper noun like somebody's name, then that'll, of course, have a capital letter as well. And after the greeting or the closing, we always have a comma. So, "Dear Sarah, comma," or when you're closing it, "Sincerely, comma, your friend, comma, love, comma." So those are the things we're going to be covering for grammar this week. You've got your grammar pages to complete. I'm going to go ahead and hop into your book, and we're going to go into your Unit 1, Week 3 story. And that's going to wrap up this video after we go through this and in your reading and writing workshop. So if you want to go ahead and read those on your own, you don't need to watch the rest of this video because all I'm going to be going through is the stories and a little bit more explanation. Otherwise, you're welcome to stay and listen. So we're going to go to Unit 1, Week 3. I'm going to open up our story.
Genre: fiction. Not Norman, a goldfish story. By Kelly Bennett. Illustrated by Noah Z. Jones. When I got Norman, I didn't want to keep him. I wanted a different kind of pet. Not Norman. I wanted a pet who could run and catch, or one who could climb trees and chase strings. A soft, furry pet to sleep on my bed at night. Not Norman. All Norman does is swim around and 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 around. This is it, Norman, I decide. I'm trading you for a good pet. Norman doesn't move. Not even a fin twitches. How can I trade him like this? No one will want a sorry-looking fish in a gunky bowl. When I drop Norman into his nice clean bowl, he starts dipping and flipping, flapping his fins around. He looks so goofy, I have to laugh. Don't think that just because you made me laugh, I'm going to keep you, I tell him. Tomorrow, you're out of here. Norman blows a stream of bubbles. The next day, I take Norman to school with me. If I talk him up real good during show and tell, maybe someone will want him. On the way there, we see my friend Austin. Austin has a real cool dog and 7 puppies. Want to swap one of your pups for Norman? I ask. Who's Norman? Asks Austin. My goldfish, I say. By the time I rescue Norman, half his water is gone. I'm sorry, I tell Norman when we get to school. I'm really sorry. He just stares at me, all googly-eyed. Finally, it's my turn to show and tell. Just as I start to talk about goldfish, Emily shouts, "Jenny's gone! Who let my snake loose?" Does anyone hear the story of how I got Norman? Does anyone even ask to hold his bowl? No. They're all jumping and screaming and chasing the snake. Not Norman. He's looking right at me. Thanks for listening, I tell him. Stop and check. Ask and answer questions. Why doesn't anyone listen to the boy telling his stories about Norman? Go back to the text to find the answer.
This is a good time to pause and have a chat with mom or dad or another adult or older sibling that's around and let them know what you think about why no one is paying attention right now after everything that just happened in the story.
That afternoon, we go to my music lesson. As soon as it's over, I'm taking Norman back to the pet store. I take out my tuba and begin to play. Bum, 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 ba, 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 boo, 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 bee. I glance over at Norman. He's swaying back and forth. Glook, 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 glug, he mouths. Look, Norman's singing, I say. Pay attention, snaps Maestro, and try to play the proper notes. Maestro makes me stay for extra practice. By the time my lesson is over, it's too late to go to the pet store. Don't think that just because you like my music, I'm going to keep you, I tell Norman. He glugs. That night, I'm sound asleep when, screech, scritch. What's that noise? Scratch, scritch, screech. Yikes, there's something at the window. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I spot Norman. He isn't scared. He isn't swimming around in circles either. He glugs and gives me a little wave. I'm not alone. Together, Norman and I slide open the curtains. It was just a broken tree branch. Thanks for watching out for me, Norman. Stop and check. Visualize. How does Norman help the boy not feel alone? Use the visualize strategy to help you.
Now remember, we talked about visualizing last week, and that's when we're using our imagination to figure out what's going on. So your question here is, how does Norman help the boy not feel alone? So go back to the page that's on the left when the boy first wakes up and he sees Norman. And then the top of this page, what Norman is doing and how he's acting that makes the boy not feel alone.
On Saturday, I take Norman to the pet store, just like I said I would. I look at the cats and dogs, and snakes and birds. I look at the hamsters and mice and lizards, too. They all look like good pets, but they are not Norman. When I got Norman, I wasn't sure I wanted to keep him, but now, even if I could pick any pet in the whole world, I wouldn't trade him. Not Norman.
So now that we've come to the end of this story, I want you to think about what happened, about what the boy was thinking in the beginning, how his opinion changed throughout the story, and go ahead, have a chat with any one of the grown-ups in the house and tell them what you think happened and give them a summary or tell them in your own words what happened in the story. Now let's hop into our reading and writing workshop book. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at our words and our story from this week. Oops. So we're at Unit 1. We're going over to Week 3. So our essential questions this week is, how can a pet be an important friend? Now here are our vocabulary words one more time. You can go ahead and read them quietly to yourself in your book, or you can pause the video and read them here.
Genre: fiction. Finding Cal. Essential question: how can a pet be an important friend? Read about a dog who becomes a boy's special friend. September 25th. Dear Diary, it took Dad a long time to decide. He finally made up his mind. Dad came to my room tonight. He said I could get a dog, but it has to be a small or medium-sized dog. We will go to the animal shelter tomorrow. Medium dog. Small dog. September 26th. Dear Diary, wow, there are so many different dogs at the shelter. There are big and little dogs. Some have soft fur, and some have wiry hair. Dad and I walked to one dog's cage. The tag said the dog's name was Cal. One quick glance at the cute dog, and I knew he was for me. Dad said, "Look, Jake, look at how Cal stares at you." It was true. His eyes were wide open. He was looking right at me. Jack, Spot, Sam, Cal. We put Cal on a leash and took him to a fenced yard. Cal smiled and stared at me. Cal wanted to play. In minutes, he learned the proper or correct way to sit. He could walk on a leash nicely, too. I patted him on the head, and he licked my hand. Cal licking my hand. Dad said, "I see a real connection between you and Cal." I agreed. We already had a good relationship. Soon we were on our way home. Cal was nervous, so I tried to make him feel better. I scratched his ears, and he liked it. October 10th. Dear Diary, it has been a while since I have written. Cal has learned many new tricks, like how to roll over. I have learned from Cal, too. Cal walks with Dad and me to school every day. Each night, Dad reads me a story. Cal lies next to me. I would not trade him for any other dog. I will keep him because our friendship is very special. Finding Cal was worth the wait. Make connections. How is Cal an important friend to Jake? Compare Jake's pet Cal to your pet or a pet you know. Tell how each pet is a good friend.
Okay, our comprehension strategy this week that's going to help us understand what we're reading is asking and answering questions.
Ask and answer questions. When you read, you can ask questions to help you think about parts of the story that you may have missed or do not understand. Find text evidence. After reading page 56 of Finding Cal, I ask myself, what helped Jake decide to take Cal home? To a fenced yard. Cal smiled and stared at me. Cal wanted to play. In minutes he learned the proper or correct way to sit. He could walk on a leash nicely, too. I patted him on the head and he licked my hand. Caption: Cal licking my hand. I read that Cal smiled and stared at Jake. Cal wants to play with Jake. From this I understand that Cal is already special to Jake. Your turn. Think of a question you have about the story. Reread the parts of the story that help you answer the question.
Okay, our comprehension skill for this week is focusing on character, setting, and events. So characters are the people or animals that the story is about. The setting is where the story is happening or taking place. And the events are the things that happen in the story.
Character, setting, events. The pictures and text give you details about the character, setting, and events in a story. Find text evidence. As I look at the pictures and read the text on page 55 of Finding Cal, I see details about the character, setting, and events. Graphic organizer. Character, setting, events. Character: Jake. Setting: Jake's home. Events: Jake is excited to be getting a dog.
Now, the genre we're talking about this week, or the type of writing that we're reading, is fiction. So fictional stories are stories that are not real. They did not really happen.
Fiction. The story Finding Cal is fiction. Fiction has made-up characters and events, has a beginning, middle, and end. Find text evidence. I can use what I read to tell that Finding Cal is fiction. The story has a beginning, middle, and end. Story structure. In the beginning of the story, I read that a family decides to adopt a dog. Your turn. Tell about events that happen in the middle and end of the story.
Now, for our vocabulary strategy for this week, we're going to be learning about context clues. Context clues will help you figure out words and things that you're not sure about by using clues from the words and sentences and pictures that are around it.
Context clues. To understand the meaning of a word you do not know, look at the other words in the sentence for clues. Find text evidence. I'm not sure what the word nervous means. The words make him feel better make me think Cal was not relaxed. I think nervous means not relaxed. Cal was nervous, so I tried to make him feel better. Your turn. Use context clues to figure out the meanings of other words in Finding Cal. Connection, page 58. Leash, page 57.
Okay, so now that we've gone through our vocabulary strategy and our comprehension skill and strategy, we're going to take a look at some of our grammar. And you'll see over here some of the things that we talked about in grammar have to do with letter writing. So over here we have a model of this student's narrative text or their letter that they wrote. So they've got their opener that says Dear Diary. And you can see that they began with a capital letter like we talked about. It has a comma after that opening. And then towards the end, he would be writing a closing. So at the closing of a letter, and this is something that still needs to be added to this letter, is how you're going to end it. So you can write your friend or sincerely, and then a comma after that closing, and then you would put your name at the end.
Grammar. The subject of this sentence is Cal and I. The subject tells who play is outside. Descriptive details. I included details to show Jake's thoughts and feelings.
So we're going to go ahead and listen to everything over here about the letter writing, and you'll be able to listen to the whole diary entry that James wrote.
Organization. I wrote Dear Diary and put a date, just like Jake did in Finding Cal. Word choice. I tried to paint a picture of Cal by using precise words. October 15th. Dear Diary, I think that Cal misses me when I go to school. He jumps up when Dad and I come in. He tries to lick my face. Cal dashes to the door when I come. He rolls over and begs. After we have a snack, Cal and I play outside. I am teaching him more tricks. I miss Cal during school. I think he needs me. I will not let him down.
Okay, so that takes us to the end of our notes. Please make sure you go back and review both stories, that you go back over here and review our notes, especially when you're doing our grammar, and watch the video that I attached here. And that will take you through the end of your language arts notes for Unit 1, Week 3. If you have any questions, definitely sign on to our live sessions and let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have an amazing day. Have a great day. Take care, second grade. Bye-bye.